Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 331. Hello, True Health Seeker, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. We have with us an amazing doctor today, naturopathic physician, Dr. Stacey Shillington. She is absolutely fantastic when it comes to reversing and clearing up skin issues. I want to let you know that she has 2 programs. We talk about it near the end of the interview. After you listen to her and learn all of the wonderful tips and tricks that she shares with us today, you are absolutely going to want to check out her programs. Her 7-week Clear Skin program, that's designed for people who have acne, psoriasis, eczema, but especially acne. For that program and to check it out, you can go to learntruehealth.com/clearskin. That's learntruehealth.com/clearskin for more information on her 7-week Clear Skin program. And then she has a new program that is her 8-week anti-aging skin program. So if you have liver spots, age spots, fine lines and wrinkles, and you want to heal from within and have super healthy looking skin far into your golden years, then you'll want to check out her 8-week anti-aging skin program. You can find that at learntruehealth.com/younger-skin. That's learntruehealth.com/younger-skin. And please check out the show notes of today's podcast at learntruehealth.com for other links to everything that Dr. Stacey does. Thank you so much for being a listener, and please share this episode with those who you love that have skin conditions, any kind of skin condition, because we cover so many of them, including skin tags, ichthyosis, liver spots, age spots, adult acne, acne brought on by hormone imbalance. We go through all of it, and we even talk about how to get rid of acne scars. So this episode is just chock full of awesome tidbits for healthy, glowing, vibrant skin. I am so excited for today's guest. We have with us an amazing naturopathic physician that specializes in skin health. I have never ever heard of a naturopath that's a dermatologist. I'm so excited because naturopaths look to heal the body as a whole, and what a wonderful way to heal our skin. Dr. Stacey Shillington has been practicing for over 12 years in Toronto, my hometown, and she also works with clients online so people around the world can work with her to gain their skin health back through gaining their whole health back. Welcome to the show, Stacey. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you, Ashley. It's so nice to be on here with you today.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited to hear your story. What led you to want to become a naturopathic physician and specialize in skincare?
Oh, well, when I was growing up, I grew up in Alberta in the 80s. That's dating me a little bit, I know. Um, I dealt with acne. And, at the time, I had no idea what naturopathic medicine was. And, I resorted to your typical remedies for acne. I did some topical creams. When I became a teenager, my doctor put me on the birth control pill to help with my acne. And, for a few years, everything was fine. And then in my late 20s, I wanted to go off the birth control. I was practicing yoga a lot. I was starting to really get in touch with my body a little bit, become interested in health. So I decided to go off the birth control pill. And when I did this, my skin completely flared up. I experienced acne like I had never, ever even dreamed of before. I mean, it was everywhere. It was red, it was cystic, it was deep, and I didn't know what to do. I was in Asia at the time, traveling around the world. It was an 8-month trip that I had taken, and I was backpacking. And, this was kind of like my chance to get back to nature and to rediscover myself after spending years working in advertising. And when this happened, it really, really changed my personality. I went from being a super outgoing person, very successful in my career, um, to basically just wanting to curl up in a ball and hide away from the world. And it affected me so much that on my whole 8-month tour around Asia, I would let barely a single picture be taken of me, which was really not very, typical of me. And, I would actually hide away in $7 a night hostels, instead of going out and meeting other travelers and really experiencing my trip fully. So, it really, really impacted me. And I was shocked by how much my acne changed me. And when I returned to Toronto, I honestly couldn't even face going back to my old job. I couldn't face my friends. I didn't even know what to do with my life because my skin was so bad. It changed my personality. Really, it did. And I went, and of course, I saw doctors, and the doctors were like, well, let's put you on Accutane or let's put you back on the birth control pill. And, looking back on it now, I'm surprised I didn't go for those options because I was so desperate. But something inside me told me that that was not the solution, that those were temporary solutions. They weren't going to really solve the problem. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to get rid of my acne forever. I didn't want to deal with it anymore because, it was devastating my life, seriously. So I spent a ton of money trying everything out there. I spent all my time researching skincare, different treatments. Some of them made my skin even worse. Not much made my skin better. And I was just, spinning in circles, trying to fix my skin, you know, not really living my life the way I wanted to at all. I was married when I went off the birth control pill and my skin flared up. I ended up getting divorced. So that, even added to the emotional turmoil of the time. And, you know, eventually somebody said to me, why don't you go see a naturopathic doctor? I had never heard of naturopathic medicine before, but I was desperate. So I thought, okay, I might as well do this. What have I got to lose? So I went and I saw a naturopathic doctor. And, the naturopathic doctor, she wasn't able to completely clear my skin, but she really, changed my philosophy on healthcare because she said to me, she said, your skin is flaring up like this because there's an imbalance in your body. And the way to heal your skin is to balance your body, to find out what the root cause of your acne is. That's the way to heal it. And I was like, it was like an aha moment. And I was like, you're right. I have to heal it from the inside out. Skincare products are not going to fix it. Medications are not going to fix it. There's truly something deeper going on here. So, the only thing I could think of doing was going back to school to become a naturopathic doctor so I could learn how to do this because I realized, acne and other skincare problems, they are debilitating to people. They really, really affect our quality of life. And the solutions that are out there are not solving the problem. So there's a huge void there. And so that is what inspired me to go back to school to become a naturopathic doctor. Really, my whole career as a naturopath has been focused on treating the skin, learning how to heal the skin, and really helping people get their lives back and living their lives fully.
I love it. I love it. So you went to the Naturopathic College in Toronto, and how long? How many did you start to clear up your skin while you were still a student? How long did it take you to get to your root cause?
You know what? It took me a while. When I saw the naturopath initially, that did not help my skin. When I was in school, my skin was still not doing amazing. It was better, but not amazing. When I got out of school, I started to work with patients. My skin was still not perfect, but I was so determined to figure out the proper protocol to heal the skin that I kept going. I would not let it stop me. And, Ashley, it wasn't until after I had a few miscarriages that I really found, you know, that I was able to put the pieces together that really helped heal my body from the foundation, and that healed my skin. So it took me a while. It really took me a while to find, the perfect formula, so to speak.
And so you discovered your root cause was around hormones, or what was your root cause?
Yeah, it's kind of like a perfect storm. My hormones, of course, were a big part of it. But, what I've come to learn over the years is that inflammation is underlying imbalanced hormones. And so it was inflammation in my body. It was caused by inefficient detoxification. It was caused by gut issues. And once I really was able to solve those two underlying issues, then my hormones started to balance, and then my acne was able to clear. And in addition to clearing my acne, I was able to, have two successful pregnancies. So, everything kind of, the body is just so magical in the way that it works, right? It's like when you're able to balance the body right at its foundation, everything else falls into place, not just the skin, but the hormones, everything, all the systems. That's when they work optimally.
I love it. And I like that you clarify that it could sometimes be that perfect storm where there's all these things going on that seem unrelated, but when you take a deeper dive, you realize they're all connected. And that's what I love about naturopathic medicine, is that we're looking at the body as a whole. We're not over here treating the hormones and then over here treating the skin and then over here treating the liver and over here treating the digestion with different specialists or doctors. Naturopaths look at the whole body and go, what's going on as a whole, and what are the symptoms, and how can we support the body to come back into balance. And sometimes it's the hardest to work on ourselves because we have that blind spot, of
Hmm.
being inside our own body. It's sometimes easier to help someone else see the whole picture than it is to see our own whole picture. Now you have some fantastic experience, 12 years working with patients and helping them to gain their health back so that their skin becomes healthy and vibrant again. How did you specialize in dermatology? Like, what steps did you take to go beyond becoming a naturopathic doctor to focus on skin health?
Well, after I graduated as a naturopath, probably about a year afterwards, I started working in a dermatology clinic in Toronto. So I've been in that dermatology clinic for probably about 11 years working there. But, it's just been constant study, constant practicing, right? Always working with patients, learning about them, watching how they heal, what works, what doesn't. That's, you know, it's been time and work that's allowed me to really become proficient about what I do.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let's get into learning from you. I'd love for us to learn. I know adult acne is a really big problem. Psoriasis, eczema, all these different, skin issues that can come up. And I have a friend who she's young. She's just in her early 20s. And since she was 6 years old, she's been on a steroid cream for horrible, horrible eczema, just like covers her whole body. She can't go outside. She's in so much pain. She's in excruciating pain. And when I met her, I started to ask her, she started telling me about it because she got interested in what I do in the, holistic world. And I said, have you ever looked at the side effects of this prescription? Because if you're on a long-term prescription, you always want to be aware of the side effects. And she came back to me the next day freaking out. She goes, on the bottle. Now, she's been taking this since she was 6. She goes, on the bottle. She showed me, it says, do not take for longer than 2 weeks because it can cause cancer. And this prescription is something like $700 a month for her. So there's one time where she lost her bottle and she was so desperate she had to pay out of pocket because her insurance only covered one bottle a month. She had to pay out of pocket the $700 because she couldn't stand the excruciating pain. So I started talking to her about changing her diet because she doesn't know how to cook. She freaked out that I don't own a microwave. She's like, how do you eat? And she just eats McDonald's every day or microwave something. And right, and I was just like, and she looks besides her skin problem, which she covers up with a lot of makeup and this medication, she looks on the outside healthy. You know, she's thin, she's young, she's got tons of energy, but she's going down a path that it's going to start showing up. These symptoms are going to start showing up in other areas. So I started talking to her about eating a healthier diet. And the second I started talking about me, testing, maybe eliminating grains and seeing how that works for you, it's just like a wall went up. She couldn't imagine life without fast food and microwaves and cooking on her own, you know. And so you hit this wall with some people who they're desperate, they want to heal, but they can't ever see themselves changing their diet because they don't see the connection. And I know the listeners are listening are definitely not those people. They definitely want to make all the changes necessary to health. Um, but I'd love for you to teach us, what is the connection between our diet and our skin health?
Oh, you know what? It's everything. When I was a naturopathic doctor studying, they always said the gut and the skin are intimately related, and it's true. What is going on your skin is often a reflection of what's going on in your gut. And research the in the last 6 years, 6 to 10 years, there's been tons of research coming out about the microbiome. And the microbiome is a community of about 100 trillion microbes that live in our gut and on our skin. And when there's an imbalance in the microbiome in the gut, eventually that imbalance is also going to present itself on the skin. And that's just one of the ways in which, the health of the gut is reflected in the health of the skin. But they are so closely related. Changing your diet and eating diet foods that are less inflammatory is absolutely essential in healing your skin. And also reducing inflammation in the gut and healing the gut is essential to healing the skin. And they aren't the same. I mean, you can be eating the very best diet in the world, but if your gut is in trouble, if you have an overgrowth of certain pathogens, that has to be addressed as well, in addition to changing the diet in order to, fully heal the skin. Um, yeah, it's essential. You can't heal the skin without addressing diet and gut health. Absolutely.
So pretend that we, as your listeners, that we have adult acne, for example, and walk us through our first appointment with you. Like, what are the things that you address? What are the things that you bring up, and shed light on?
Well, the very first thing that I do when I see my acne patients is I get them on an anti-inflammatory diet. And there's certain foods out there that, definitely cause inflammation more than other foods. Like for instance, dairy. Dairy is a very, very inflammatory food, especially for those people that have acne. There's something called bovine growth hormone in any type of cow dairy. And this bovine growth hormone increases our insulin like growth factor in our body, which in turn increases androgens. And androgens are the hormones that increase sebum production and lead to acne. So, dairy is one of those foods that definitely has to go if you're experiencing adult acne. Also, something like sugar. Sugar is, I mean, it's a drug in itself, but it impairs insulin sensitivity. It leads to high androgens. And that again leads to acne. So sugar is something that definitely has to go as well. And, I'm not just talking about processed sugars or cakes and candies and things like that. I'm also talking about, really high sugar fruits sometimes. Those have to, be cut out of the diet for a while. Also, things like maple syrup sometimes, honey, like those sugary foods as well. So, when I'm talking to my acne patients for the first time, we look at these foods and we get them out of the diet. And it's not that you can never eat these foods again, but you cannot eat these foods while you are healing the gut, while you are reducing inflammation in the body. Um, so we go through these foods, and then we also talk about foods that you need to consume more of. And my two, the foods that are so amazing for acne patients, for really any skincare patient at all, berries. Berries, I love them. They have tons of proanthocyanidins in them, which help reduce inflammation. And they're also very low glycemic index fruits, which means they're not going to spike insulin levels. And then I also love cruciferous vegetables. This is like, your broccoli, the cauliflower, arugula, Brussels sprouts. There's so many different members of that vegetable family. And these cruciferous vegetables help detoxify the liver. So, food is an amazing medicine, and just using food itself can really help the body function, so much more efficiently and help set the stage for really diving in to start healing the skin. So, first of all, I always, always focus on diet with any skincare patient, but especially with acne patients.
I like that you brought up sugar. My husband had adult acne on his back. He had back knee, and it was completely covered. There was not 1 square inch that wasn't acne, and it was the big boils, like scary stuff that he had to wear sometimes 2 shirts because the first shirt would be covered in blood from the amount
Oh,
of acne, and it was painful, and he was embarrassed. He didn't, he wouldn't go swimming in pools because he didn't want anyone to see his back. And we've been together for 11 years, and he started having it, when he hit his teens. And when I first met him, he was completely addicted to ice cream. He would get that family-sized tub. I'd never even heard of it. Being from Canada, we don't like have the American sizes, or at least we didn't, when I was living
right.
in Canada. I don't know. I haven't been to Canada since I haven't been to Canada recently, but I don't think we don't have the giant family size. So this tub is
No.
like 4 liters of like quarts, like giant tub, a family size tub. It's so big it comes with its own handle, and
Oh gosh.
he would get a mint chip family size tub for himself. And and the thing is, he was
Oh
not really
God.
overweight. He's 6'7". He's very tall. He was very active. He was carpenter, so he was like always working. But he'd sit there, and that was his weekend. He'd sit there like in front of the
Oh
TV and
God.
just eat and eat. He would just loved ice cream. And so my first goal with him, when we weren't even married yet, and I did an NLP technique with him called like to dislike, where you can neurologically make someone repulsed, or be away from the foods that they're addicted to, or items that they're addicted to.
Okay.
And so it's actually really funny because so I painted the picture of how addicted he was to ice cream. I've been dairy free pretty much my whole life. He got me back on dairy, and I'm like, no, this sucks. We both have to get off dairy. We can't do this. And so we did the like to dislike, the NLP technique, and he could not walk down the ice cream aisle for a year. I was so happy. But when we cut out sugar out of his diet, I got more strict and more strict as I kept learning. This is like, 10 years ago, kept learning how bad sugar has been. Sugar's in everything. And so when we started to get more and more into the whole foods way of eating, and getting some good mineral supplements, and cutting out the bad carbs and just focusing on lots of vegetables, that kind of thing, we got more and more into balancing blood sugar. His acne completely vanished. And that was including cutting out dairy. But cutting out sugar and dairy, his acne went away 100%. He hasn't had it in about 7 years. But once in a blue moon, like once every few years, he'll be like, I'm just gonna have a cheese pizza because I'm at this, at this party or at a friend's house and they have a cheese pizza. I'm just gonna indulge, right? Because we're gluten free, we're dairy free, we're like everything free. And sure enough, if he has like regular ice cream or pizza or that kind of thing, basically like lots of carbs and dairy, boom, his back flares up. Lots of acne just
Yep.
comes right back. And then it goes away after, about a week or so because he's off that food again. But he's tested it once every few years. And there's no going back for him. He cannot go back to dairy. He cannot go back to sugar. But thank goodness, because those things were not good in the first place. But you can let your
Yep.
skin be your guide. It's so
Yes.
one meal with the food that flares him up. All it took was one meal, and we can see the acne come back. So you can tell really
Yep.
quickly It's a really good tell. Once you get your skin health under control, it's such a good tell to go and test a food and be like, nope, can't do that again. I just found that totally fascinating. So I love that you brought up the dairy and the sugar, and even like the higher sugar, healthy foods like higher sugar fruits. We just need to look at a more like low glycemic
Yes.
diet in general. Now, when you say anti-inflammatory, are there any other foods that we should be aware of? Like, what are your thoughts on cooking oil? Because some people believe that cooking oil is actually damaging to the body and pro-inflammatory.
Yes, absolutely. And before I answer that, I just want to tell you a really interesting thing that I discovered one day while I was researching acne before the advent of dermatology. You know, the old doctors, like the turn of the century, they used to call acne diabetes of the skin. That's how they
Oh,
described it.
yes,
Isn't that crazy?
that
And
is
that, yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
yes. So treating acne as a metabolic condition is often one of the keys to solving it.
So do you get your patients on chromium and vanadium and get them on the minerals that also support balancing blood sugar? Or do you have them do blood tests to determine if they're pre-diabetic or if they're moving in that direction?
Often I will, and actually I don't usually do the chromium, the vanadium, but what I love is berberine. I find berberine
Mm,
is amazing for acne. Not only does it help regulate the blood sugar, but it also helps support the liver, and it also is, an antimicrobial. So it helps to solve any dysbiosis in the gut. Berberine's fantastic.
that's cool. That's very cool. Now you mentioned microbiome, and I want to talk about the microbiome of the skin.
Mhm.
Can you and we had just to wrap up the conversation about blood sugar, is there anything else you wanted to say about supporting correcting blood sugar? Oh, and we were talking about oil. Like, are there any
Yes.
other things, anything you want to say more about blood sugar? And is there anything you want to say about diet, like other foods that are pro-inflammatory that you wouldn't think would be pro-inflammatory that we should cut out?
Yes. Okay. So some other, foods, and, I feel really sad about telling you this, but chocolate. And I feel sad about telling everybody about this because this personally hurts me. But chocolate is so inflammatory for people with skin problems. Chocolate
Mm,
contains something called theobromines in them. And there was a study done in May of 2014. And theobromines can increase acne in susceptible people by 169%. So, the dairy, the sugar, and the chocolate are foods that really have to be looked at, if you're suffering from inflammatory skin disorders, especially acne. And the other food as well that most people find surprising and many people eat every single morning is oatmeal.
mm,
And yes, oatmeal contains something called avenicides. And what avenicides do is they decrease sex hormone binding globulin in the blood. And when that is decreased, that's kind of like a little particle that testosterone will bind to in the blood. And when you have decreased levels of it, you have more free testosterone in the blood. And testosterone is an androgen and it converts into DHT, which is a contributor to acne. So, oatmeal is another really, it's a food most people wouldn't suspect, but it can be, it can really contribute to acne as well.
do you find that cutting out all grains is beneficial? Because my understanding is that all grains can be pro-inflammatory on some level and also not very helpful for balancing blood sugar.
Absolutely. And, I usually get my patients to do a test. And this test, it's not like a blood test or anything like this. It's just a practical test. Go for 3 days, just eating, vegetables, low glycemic index fruit, lean proteins, and see how you feel. And if you feel better than you did when you were eating grains, then it's a sign that you need to spend some time not eating any grains while you're healing and balancing your body. And I'm not saying forever because some starchy carbohydrates are very, very important, But if your body is sensitive to them, likely, there's a blood sugar issue. There's also potentially a candida slash dysbiotic issue. And the starchy carbohydrates, which convert rapidly to sugar, need to be eliminated while the body is being balanced. So, yeah, sometimes starchy carbs are not a good idea when healing the skin. Absolutely.
Got it. Yeah, the concern for me is like gluten and gliadin being found in oats and gluten in barley, wheat, and rye, um, mechanically do damage to the microvilli of the small intestines. And so even though
Oh,
that
yeah.
it might not, these grains might not show up on an allergy test, or you might not have celiac. Some people go, well, I'm not celiac, so I can eat wheat. It's that it's kind of like taking a lawnmower to your gut, because mechanically we
Hmm.
can't fully digest all the proteins. And so those half digested proteins kind of rip through and tear apart the gut. So although you say that some people can go back to grains, are you recommending that people go
No.
gluten free?
Oh my God. Yes, yes. And I should have clarified that. You know what? Actually, I really can't remember really solving a skincare case when somebody's eaten gluten. Gluten is just so inflammatory. And yeah, no, I can't clear skin when people are eating gluten. And that is just, after 13 years, that's just what I've concluded. So every
Mm-hmm.
single skincare patient of mine will have to, go without gluten. And there's so many great alternatives,
Mm-hmm.
now that, it's not really that difficult. But yeah, it's so damaging to the gut. People that
Right.
are susceptible, it's just so inflammatory. When I say going back to starchy carbohydrates eventually, I definitely mean gluten-free starchy carbohydrates like quinoa, rice, buckwheat, millet, sweet potatoes, things like that. Yeah,
Got it.
not gluten.
Got it. Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad for the
Yeah.
clarification. Very interesting that you've never been able to help a patient solve their skin problems if they remain eating barley, wheat, and rye, and potentially oats as well. Um, some people can tolerate oats, but the gliadin is so similar and acts very similar to gluten. So um, yeah, it is such a sticky wicket because it's so prominent in our day-to-day foods. But now I went gluten free back when it wasn't really popular, and now I can't believe all the choices. I love the pastas that are made from, and I don't eat pasta often, um, but I love the pastas that are made from lentils. So like chickpea
Yes.
or legume, pastas. They're high in protein. They're great alternatives. But there's pretty much anything that's made out of gluten, you can make it without gluten. So, but I like that you're
Yeah.
focusing on bringing someone more to, like you said, an anti-inflammatory diet that's more whole food. So there's no hidden ingredients. You know what you're getting into. You know what you're eating. Now let's talk a little bit about oil. Um, so should we cook with it? Should we not cook with it? There's a controversy around whether oil is helpful or whether it's pro-inflammatory.
Yeah, and that's a really great point. I mean, so we're always looking at the omega 6 to 3 fatty acid ratio, right? Ideally, it should be about 1 to 1. Right now in our North American culture, it's about 16 to 1, which means we have way more omega 6 fatty acids in our life than omega 3 fatty acids. And we need to change that ratio because omega 6 fatty acids, when there's too many of them in the body, it's highly inflammatory. So we really want to avoid consuming omega 6 fatty acids in our diet. And that, omega 6 fatty acids are in like soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, peanut oil, corn oil. Really, a lot of vegetable oils contain omega 6 fatty acids. Instead, we want to focus on using oils that such as like olive oil, which is high in omega 9 fatty acids, avocado oil, coconut oil, which is more like a saturated fat, and also eating foods that are higher in omega 3 fatty acids like salmon, mackerel, sardines, organic eggs, hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. So we really need to be aware of the oils that we're using so that we can reduce inflammation in our body.
And when you mention those oils to use, are you saying like use them raw, or are you recommending that people cook with them?
Olive oil should definitely be used raw. I mean, it's when it's heated up to past a certain temperature, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, it starts to oxidize. And, that will create inflammation. Instead, you want to cook with oils that have a higher heating point, such as avocado oil or coconut oil. Those are the two oils that I cook with. But then olive oil, I love to use it, say, on a salad or, on a roasted sweet potato, more as like a condiment on top of your food, but not for cooking with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole oil thing is quite controversial. Some people think that no oil, because the second you remove the fat from the fiber by squeezing the oil out of the olive, that you're exposing it to oxygen and thus free radical damage. So it's kind of like this catch-22. I want to eat healthy fats, but I don't want to eat oxidative damage. And what do I cook with? So
Mm,
some people go to the extreme of cooking with no oil and using either ghee
yeah.
or rendered duck fat or just broth
Right.
to cook with their food. So,
Right.
but I guess that's where
Yeah.
experimenting comes in, right? Like you say, do a test, do an
Yeah.
elimination, see, do no oil for a month and then do oil for a month and see if your skin gets better or worse. Same with grains, and except the gluten-free grains.
And I think also, an oil's tendency to oxidize depends on the ratio of linoleic acid versus oleic acid. And olive oil is very high in oleic acid, and
Mm,
that does not tend to oxidize as much. So, there's that to consider as well. But
mm.
yeah, one thing that you just said that I really love is so much of it is individual. Some people cannot tolerate fats at all. Some people do a great job on them. Some people cannot tolerate, animal protein at all. Other people really need it to be, to feel their best. So, that's one thing I really strive for as well, is to help people find a diet that really works for them.
And skin problems are kind of a blessing in disguise, because it is the reflection of your internal health. And so some people just walk around, seemingly healthy and die of a heart attack, like Jim Fix, just like the running
Yeah.
expert, run, total, like looks like a picture of health and just drops dead of a heart attack. He had no signs, right? But if sometimes people
Yeah.
end up feeling like their illness or their disease is a blessing in disguise, because it allowed them to start to listen to their body and make corrections. So the body speaks to us like the early warning signs, and things like acne or psoriasis. This can be a early warning sign that if we keep going in this direction, more things will break down. And it's kind of this blessing in disguise, because you eat one bad meal and it's going to show up on your face, which is quite a, I
Yes.
understand it's embarrassing, but also it's it highly motivates us to stay on the path of
Yes.
healing our gut and healing our body. So it's kind of the carrot and the stick situation. Um, can you did say that it's a very individualized experience for people when it comes to forming their healing diet. Do you find though that some people are deficient in healthy fats, and that by adding healthy fats back, that it helps the skin health?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I find that especially true with like eczema and psoriasis. We really need to take a look at the omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio. And, fish oils can be very helpful. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of fish oils in all situations, but there's definitely a difference, in the skin when the diet changes are made properly and proper oils are administered, or even, if you don't want to take, oils as a supplement, changing the way that the oils that you consume with your cooking, will make a huge difference. But yeah, I think fats are very important part of the body. I mean, every single cell in our body is composed of fatty acids. right? Our cell
Mm-hmm.
membranes are fats. So, in order to have a healthy body, we have to make sure those cell membranes are really nourished and, we have what we need. And when we have fatty acid deficiency, that's one of the places we're going to see it.
Is the skin? One of the places we're going to see it is the skin.
Yes, yes, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the skin is, there's a moisture barrier on the skin, and basically it looks like a brick wall. And it's like, and the bricks are keratinocytes, and those are the skin cells, and they're surrounded by a fatty acid layer, and that's the mortar. And if the fatty acids are deficient, then that brick wall is going to start to break down. And things that are not supposed to get into the body are going to get into the body. Things that are not supposed to get out of the body are going to get out of the body. So it's really important to keep that moisture barrier intact in order to have healthy skin. And fatty acids are a huge part of that.
What kind of foods can people eat to increase the healthy omega 3s while not increasing the omega 6s?
Oh, well, I love fatty fish like the salmon, the mackerel, the sardines, organic eggs. For some people, not all people, some people have a sensitivity to eggs, so that has to be taken into consideration. Hemp seeds, chia seeds, those are really great sources of omega-3 fatty acids as well. Um, and I also like avocados, as well. um, they're not necessarily high in omega 3s, but they're high in fatty acids that are really helpful. And then, a fish oil supplement can be helpful in some instances as well, depending, on what the patient is suffering from. For instance, in acne, I would never, ever recommend fish oils. That's actually one of the supplements that will contribute to acne. Um, but eczema and
Wow.
psoriasis are better with fish oils.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've known people who found that increasing their omega 3s, their psoriasis became better. So I always thought that was interesting. I myself had really, really dry heels, cracking dry heels, and when I started to increase my healthy fats, they started to clear up. And I thought that's so cool. Like you change something in your diet, or you add a supplement and change things in your diet, and then you just start to see. I like seeing the results, start to see my
Yes.
feet get the skin on my feet getting healthier. Or when I was pregnant, I had these dry patches. My elbows were like sandpaper, and my doctor through my pregnancy is a naturopath and a midwife, and she was, I guess, helping me up on the examination table and touched my elbow, and she goes, "Oh, you have a vitamin D deficiency." And I'm like looking at her like, "How do you know?" She's like, "That this dry patch on your elbow. We need to increase your vitamin D." And sure enough, my elbows are like as smooth as a baby's bottom. When I started
Yeah.
taking the vitamin D, so it's sometimes one nutrient, and oftentimes when we have a nutrient deficiency, it's not just one, right? Because they travel in packs, but one nutrient can
Yes.
make that big of a
Mhm.
difference.
I
It's
know, it's
really
crazy.
interesting. I have a quick story to tell you. One of my best friends was born with ichthyosis, and if you look at the textbooks on ichthyosis, the pictures you'll see are her father, because and this is in Canada. All the it was such a rare thing back then, like 70 years ago, that they examined him, they took pictures of them, and the pictures were in all the textbooks. But they pretty much said it's genetic, your whole family's basically going to have it, and sure enough, everyone in that bloodline has ichthyosis, and 70% of her body was covered in this thick, scaly, cracking skin that would just shed off like sand, but thick sand.
Mhm.
And it was painful for her, and she had to spend hours a day, rubbing herself with lotions. And this was coming up on 8 years ago. I met a naturopath, really old school naturopath, who ended up mentoring me. But he was in Toronto at the time and giving a health lecture. And so I told her, you got to go check out this guy's information. And so she went up to him and said, "I have ichthyosis, and it's genetic. And what can I do anything?" And he goes, Well, it's not genetic, it's epigenetic. This is how
Mm,
your genes express a nutrient deficiency. Now you need to get on, and then he gave her the list of basically everything everything it takes to build healthy skin, but in mega doses. He goes, you're gonna need some more help because you're really deficient. So, vitamin A, vitamin E, everything that, it takes to build skin. And
mhm.
every year, because she comes to visit or I go to visit her, but every year her skin was getting better and better and better. And now, in about year 5, it was 100% cleared up now. So it's coming on 8 years. The only thing she has is a little tiny bit of dry skin. The ichthyosis is 100% gone, and that was
Oh,
going
love
gluten
it.
free. So the barley wheat rye and oats are out. That was going totally gluten free. She's gone dairy free. So inadvertently, she ended up eating exactly how you teach people to eat, getting out the
Mhm.
inflammatory foods, and then she got on the supplements that support the body and building healthy skin. And everyone else in her family has this problem, and the doctor said epigenetically, your genes will express nutrient deficiency in this way. Another family
Mhm.
would express it maybe
Mhm.
in asthma, for example. So, um,
Right.
would you like to talk a bit about genes and like why some people go like why is it that everyone in my family has this skin problem, for example? Do you ever look at like epigenetics and how to support them based on their genome?
I don't do like genetic testing or anything like that, and but I think about epigenetics every single day and with every single person, because what you just said, we all manifest imbalances differently, and that's based on our genes. But 90% of our health is determined by our lifestyle. And, that's a real statistic. And it's so inspiring and encouraging because whatever, you know, health problem you're dealing with, whether it's a skin problem or not, you can overcome that by lifestyle. And I mean, for instance, acne patients, which I deal with so much, there's certain SNPs, SNPs, which are genetic polymorphisms, that inhibit acne patients from detoxifying optimally from their liver. Phase 2, the P450 detoxification system, is not working optimally. So it's always essential when you have acne to support, you know, that that process in the body more than perhaps you might support somebody else going through another thing. So that's one instant in how I really look at epigenetics. But I find epigenetics to be, just so inspiring and hopeful and exciting. And, whenever I see somebody that has a health issue, it's just like, oh, you can do so much about it. It's so amazing. So yeah, it's epigenetics is so wonderful. I love it.
I like that you said it's inspiring because it fills people with hope. Instead of being told, this is just the lot you have in life, it's baked into the cake. Your cousin has it, your mother had it, your grandmother had it, and you're going to have it because it's your genes. We've been taught that, if your whole family has this family history, then this is just your lot in life. This is your genes. That's, you can't change it. And that was the old
Yeah.
school way of looking at genes. And now it's no, no, no. Lifestyle's 90% of your health. And genes are just how things are going to express. It's good to know your family history because if you eat at McDonald's every day, I always pick on McDonald's, but if you eat at Burger King every day, if you
For
eat at
good reason.
if you eat at Tim Hortons every day, you're going to basically trigger the those genes that are going to express in a negative disease, right? In a negative fashion. So
Yep.
just you kind of know where you're going to go, and you get to choose. Now, you say lifestyle,
Yes.
so that's lifestyles is more than just the food we eat. What activities can we do to support healthy skin?
Oh, diet is one for sure. Sleep is another. Stress reduction is so huge when it comes to skin. You can do all the right things, you can eat the perfect diet, you can take the perfect supplements, but if you're still living a high stress life, then you are going to continue to experience skin problems. There's such an emotional, psychological element. Um, in fact, you know, when you're stressed out and you're prone to acne, there's three different biochemical pathways that are activated in the body that contribute to acne. The connection is so strong. So stress is a huge one. Exercise, of course, moving your body is another really important thing. Mindset is huge. Even the amount of regulating our circadian rhythm is a really important part. How much sunlight we expose ourselves to every day. Regular eating times, regular bedtime, regular wake time. Um, yeah, everything that we do. Relationships, how rich our relationships are in our lives, resentments that we're holding on to. Just there's so many different aspects of lifestyle that affect our health and our skin.
It's interesting you brought up relationships and resentment. In meta medicine, there's a belief that the skin is our emotional barrier to the outside world, and we will create skin issues when we have problems with either separation anxiety from a loved one like our mother, or as a child, if they show up in a child, it's a feeling of separation, a barrier from the mother. But as an adult, it's a separation from the world. And so it's either a feeling of feeling alone in the world.
Hmm.
There's a few different emotional components, but I like that you brought up resentment. um have you ever had experiences where your patients are doing everything right physically, and the acne or the skin problem is still there, and then you counsel them to resolve things emotionally, and that's when their skin gets better?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, in my acne program that I run with people, meditation is a mandatory part of it. And, there's daily lifestyle journals that are kept every day. And, I've, and this is after years of learning, right? Years of treating people and doing all the right diet stuff, doing all the right supplement stuff, and finding just what you mentioned, things are still not progressing, and then really getting deeper into their stories and understanding what's going on inside of them, how their emotions are contributing to their stress and their anxiety. And now meditation is such an important part of my program, and with it the results are so much better than without it. And if somebody's struggling, often I'll say, "Are you still doing the meditation?" And, they'll inevitably say, "Oh, I've been forgetting, or I haven't had time." I'm like, "Go back to the meditation." And they do that. And when they do that, when they practice self love, you know, things come together far better.
Is
Yeah, I
that
get better results.
Is that because you're lowering the stress response, so you're taking the body out of sympathetic nervous system response, which is a pro-inflammatory state? Like, is that the reason, or is there a deeper or another reason why meditation is so effective at clearing up skin conditions?
I think that's one of the biggest reasons, just being able to transition into the parasympathetic nervous system. Because remember, our bodies cannot heal when they're in the sympathetic nervous system. You just cannot heal in that state. You have to be in a state of relaxation in order for your body to heal. And, I don't think we give that enough importance in our healing journeys, that we really have to be in that place. We have to learn how to relax. We have to learn how to deal with the issues that are causing us emotional stress in order to fully heal.
Mm, I love it. And you said mindset. Why is mindset so important?
Mindset is the way that we see the world. It's the way we look at the world, the way we evaluate the world. And you can operate from a mindset that's very negative, and that's going to create stress, and that's going to create disharmony. Or you can operate from a mindset that's more positive, more optimistic, And that's going to reduce stress, and that's going to enable you to, get out of your sympathetic nervous system into your parasympathetic nervous system more readily. And having a proper mindset, creates resilience against stress.
Mm, that's really beautifully said. I love that. Do you ever find that as people clear up their skin conditions, they tend to go back to their old behaviors as a form of self-sabotage? Because maybe it is a scary thing to have have a belief that they're ugly or repulsive, and then they've cleared up their skin and now people are looking at them in a new way, they're gaining attention, but the old belief is still there. Do you ever see that, and how do you help people to not self-sabotage?
It's funny you mentioned that because it's something that I don't actually see a lot. I find that, I take people on their clear skin journeys, and, you know, once they're at the point they're at, they love where they're at so much that, nothing can really entice them to go back to living the way they were. And I don't know, maybe that's because, I do take them on a very holistic journey, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we do include the meditation, we do include I do include self-reflection in the program. So it is, well-rounded, it is holistic, but I find that people feel very liberated, once they've gone on that journey. And if there are instances of self-sabotage and wanting to go back, then mindset has to be addressed. Self-love has to be addressed. And that's something that we talk about a lot. Like, skin picking is a huge issue, and that's something that I see people doing a lot that really is a form of self-sabotage and doesn't exhibit a lot of self-love. And we talk about that. And that's something, I have strategies for, and you know to help them through that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I yeah, hopefully that answers your
Oh,
question.
it totally does, because you're like, if they have that limiting belief or that negative decision that they've made about themselves, then through journaling and meditation and that holistic journey you take them on, they're able to face it and resolve it. I've seen people who, when like they lose a bunch of weight, or when they, clear up their skin, something that they were using to identify as ugly because that was their belief about themselves. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's a protection, like if a woman's been molested, or victimized in the past, physically, they will do things to make themselves less attractive, and they'll put on weight, or they'll create habits that create a skin problem, so that they put a barrier between them and the abuse, and hoping that it won't happen again.
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
we tend to use our external appearance and
Mhm.
change our health habits in order to change our external appearance to protect ourselves if we've been through that. And so but because you take them on that holistic journey, as their skin is healing, as their internal body is healing, and of course as their blood sugar is balancing, because a lot of depression and anxiety can be caused by that those imbalances as well. So that's my other question. Do you notice that there people heal emotional things they weren't expecting to heal? Like, did you see that people with skin problems also have anxiety or depression, or have emotional problems that end up working through and healing because they're also balancing their body?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I have a whole module in my program where we just talk about stress and anxiety. And another thing that I find that is really helpful for helping stress and anxiety and mindset is community. And connecting with other people that are on the very same journey as them. And for my patients, I have a Facebook group, and I really encourage everybody to join that group. And it is such a loving, supportive community of people all on the same journey. And I didn't expect this when I started the group, but people go in that group and they share their deepest fears, what the worst part of what they're experiencing, and the love and the connection that, goes on in that group is just, it's phenomenal. And, you know, having community, having people that truly understand what you're going through and what you're feeling, I think that's one of the most healing parts of any journey, really.
Mhm. Absolutely. Not feeling alone, especially when skin problems are so isolating. Like you said, when you went through your
Yes.
acne, it really makes you feel alone. And to be part of a group, a community that makes you not feel alone is so therapeutic. So that's
Mhm.
fantastic that you brought up that community is another important part of healing and of that journey. It gives people hope who are just entering because they can see people who have healed, and then
Yes.
as someone goes through their healing journey, if they have a slip up and they have a flare up all of a sudden, they can go to the group and they can be like, what happened, and they can be filled with support and with hope. So because I if you're alone
Yes.
doing that, sometimes you just feel like desperate, or you're beating your head against the wall. So
Yeah.
I completely get why that would be a healing experience, and it kind of takes I love how these groups take a life of their own when even
They
when you're not
really
there.
do, like,
Yeah,
oh, it's so beautiful to watch it happen. Yeah, I love it.
very cool. What about drugs? So when you work with patients, or when students are taking your classes, I know we're going to definitely talk about your online classes, which are fantastic. So people around the world can be a part of your online community, and learning from you how they can heal their skin in a holistic way. But for patients and your students, um, what if they're still on the pill? What if they're on
Mm.
other drugs, antibiotics, all these drugs that MDs would prescribe for skin problems, steroids, so
Mhm.
where's your stance? Like, and obviously you can't tell people who aren't your patients to get off a drug, but what's your stance on these drugs that are obviously not getting to the root cause?
Well, as a naturopathic doctor, I fully believe in the body's ability to heal itself and to balance itself given the tools that it needs. And, the aim of my programs, the aim of my coaching and treatment is to, you know, do that, to provide the body what it needs so that you do not have to be dependent on these drugs. That is my hope for people. That is my wish for them. Um, some drugs like the birth control pill, I do believe that, well, I know we have to balance the body first, do a certain amount of balancing before starting to wean off, that medication. Same with like spironolactone. Um, because if you just go cold turkey off those medications, sometimes you're just going to have a really, really bad flare up, which is going to be worse than probably the acne you've experienced before and super traumatizing. So I like to get the body into a state of balance before, you know, weaning off any medication, which of course has to be approved by your medical doctor. Um, but but yeah, I believe in the body being self-supporting, and that's my goal for each and every one of my patients.
I did a whole episode on birth control, and I can't believe how damaging it is. And
Mm,
that there are alternatives, healthier alternatives to birth control. But I definitely encourage all women who are taking the pill to listen to. I don't know the episode off the top of my head, but it's some in the last 10 episodes. It's fairly recent, but just to consider the alternatives that are safer for them and effective, because especially if you're on birth control for skin, and not for
mm,
birth control, that's that kind of scares me. You're really messing with your entire
yeah.
psyche, your entire person. The doctor that I interviewed about that said that it changes because it changes your hormones, it changes the essence of who you are and how you think. And
Mhm.
women who detox from birth control and get off of it, after they've detoxed and they're back to themselves, they feel like they have gained their true self back. and that they had lost themselves for a while. And so it's just really interesting that birth control can not only affect us on a physical level, but on an emotional and mental level as well. What's your coaching when you coach people if they choose to get off of birth control? Do you have any advice or coaching for how to support the body or what to do instead of birth control?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm so in agreement with what you just said about the birth control pill. It's just so damaging for women on so many different levels. And, before getting off the birth control pill to, really prevent your skin from flaring up, you want to make sure that your liver is properly supported. You have to be detoxifying all these exogenous hormones that are being ingested. So you need to have proper liver support. Also work on your gut. Try and heal your gut before going off the birth control pill, because you want to be as balanced as possible, because when you're on the birth control, you're not making any natural estrogen or progesterone. It's basically shutting down your natural hormone production. And it's also suppressing androgens, which are the hormones that are going to cause acne. When you go off, your body has to learn how to make estrogen and progesterone again, and you are going to have a surge of androgenic hormones in your body. That's what happens. And so we need to prepare the body for that, so that when you go off the birth control pill, you know, your skin doesn't flare up, you don't feel like a hot mess. And it can be done, and it can be done very elegantly, and it can be done very systematically, and I love doing that for women. It gives me so much pleasure to help them, you know, get off the birth control pill and start, cycling naturally and feeling like themselves and just getting in touch with their bodies again.
Very interesting. You mentioned that exercise is really important. What about sweating? What about getting in a sauna and sweating? I have a sunlight and sauna, and it has a mid, near, and far infrared. And I can't believe I've had it for actually a year now. I got it last February, so I have had it for a year now. My skin is so soft. I can't believe it. And I learned that near infrared supports the collagen production and super healthy skin production. So I'd love your thoughts on like mid, near, and far infrared sauna therapy for helping to heal the skin.
Yeah, I love saunas, and, I really, really advocate their use. The reason that I really love saunas is because they help detoxify fat soluble toxins from the body. And
Mm.
fat soluble toxins are not always easy to detoxify because they hide out in the fat cells in the adipose tissue. But saunas are one of the few ways that we're really able to draw out the fat soluble toxins and detoxify them through the skin. Um, and old school naturopaths, they believe that acne, eczema, psoriasis, any form of skin, you know, up disease, is the body's inability to detoxify toxins through the normal routes of detoxification, such as through the liver, the kidneys, the bowels. And instead, the body's trying to eliminate the toxins through the skin. It's like an alternate route of detoxification. And saunas aid this ability to detoxify the skin when the other organs of elimination are not working optimally. So, yeah, I think saunas are absolutely incredible for the skin health.
I think it's absolutely fascinating that you talk about the sauna in the way you did. I heard it from a whole new perspective, detoxifying the fat soluble, toxins to get help the body get rid of the fat soluble toxins and support the liver and the kidneys in a new way by getting rid of the toxins through the skin. So I think that's really, really interesting to utilize sauna, but also utilize sauna to decrease stress. And so yeah, I'm glad now you've reaffirmed my belief that saunas are fantastic for health and especially for skin health. That is wonderful. I'd love to know about the microbiome of the skin. I keep hearing that they're discovering that not only do we have this complex trillions and trillions of cells inside our gut, but that we also have a microbiome biome outside of us living on our skin, helping our tissue on the outside be healthy as well as on the inside. Can you talk a bit about this? How do we go about supporting it? Do we need to support it? Is there really an importance of understanding the microbiome of the skin?
Yes, and you know what? The research on exactly how to do that is still in its infancy. We're still, discovering exactly what strains, we should be supporting when we're supporting the skin topically. From my point of view, I mean, I've tried topical skincare products that contain different strains of probiotics. And some people they work, some people they don't work. So I'm really reticent to start going down that route yet until I find something that's, suitable for most people. So in order to support the microbiome on the skin, right now I really work towards, reducing inflammation in the body as a whole, and also really working to um, nourish and protect the moisture barrier of the skin and also the acid mantle of the skin. And what that is the moisture barrier of the skin has a slightly acidic pH. And this slightly acidic pH is damaged so easily by so many different topical skincare products. And that's the part of the skin that really hosts the microbiome properly. So, for instance, if you're washing with a soap that's very alkaline, you're going to disrupt the acid mantle, and the skin is no longer going to be hospitable for the microbes that are supposed to live there. So, that's how I'm really approaching it at the moment, is just really, keeping the surface of the skin as hospitable as possible for the microbiome.
So, what kind of skincare do you recommend? Like, some people use coconut oil on their skin. Some people choose to use essential oils on their skin. Witch hazel. Are there things that you prefer people use to support, to cleanse the skin, to clean it and to moisturize it?
Yes, and I am so passionate about this because I mean, I've been working at a dermatology clinic for, over 10 years. I feel like I've tried everything out there because I've also been a skincare junkie forever. And at a certain point, I was just over skincare. I was like, there's so much crap out there. I can't take it anymore. And I've resorted to a very, very simple skincare routine, which I use myself. And, I prescribe to my patients, and I find that it works so beautifully. Cleansing, you know, I either use Manuka honey to cleanse, very, very simple. Um, if you don't have a microbiome that's disrupted, then you can use oils to cleanse, which are very beautiful and very nourishing. If you do have a microbiome imbalance, which will result in like fungal acne or, a perioral dermatitis or another type of dermatitis, then using something simple like a micellar water, is very gentle. But cleansing should be incredibly gentle, nothing foaming, nothing soapy, ever, ever, ever. And for moisture, I tend to use aloe vera gel and like jojoba argan oil. I tend to use oils that are higher in linoleic acid, um, because it's a lower molecular weight and it doesn't sit on top of the skin. Something like coconut oil is of higher molecular weight, so it will tend to stay on top of the skin, and it can cause pores to become clogged if your skin has a tendency to do that. Same with olive oil, heavier oils, which can be great for the body, don't necessarily do as well on the skin for everybody. That being said, there's some skins that can tolerate coconut oil and olive oil. With oils, it can be very individual. But yeah, I'm into honey, I'm into oils, I'm into essential oils. I love using like lavender. I love using tea tree oil, chamomile oil. Um, Immortelle oil is great. I have like a whole like essential oil pharmacy in my in my bathroom. Really, it's crazy. And hydrosols I like as well, like a lavender hydrosol, a rose hydrosol.
Mm.
I'm not a huge fan of witch hazel. Um, I find it can be a bit too drying for the skin. I'm very careful about
Mm-hmm.
not drying out the skin.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah, I like that you brought up the aloe vera gel. It feels so good. It feels so luxurious on the skin.
It's so great, and I'm gonna share, like, a huge secret with you that I love. So, in the palm of your hand, you put about a teaspoon of aloe vera gel, and then put about a teaspoon of the oil of your choice. I usually use argan or jojoba oil. And then in the palm of your hand with your finger, mix it vigorously for about 30 seconds, and it's going to turn into a lotion. And when you apply that to your face, you can add a few drops of essential oil if you want. It is probably the best moisturizer you will ever use in your life. It's so good.
Oh my gosh. I have a friend on Facebook that makes handcrafted skincare, and she sells it on Etsy, and you just listed most of her ingredients, but she had a horrible skin condition and she had lost all of her hair. She was totally bald,
Mm,
and then that's what led her on her health journey. And so she used clean up her diet, got mineral supplements, got some supplements that she where her deficiencies were, and started to grow her hair back. She started to feverishly make all kinds of creams and things like that, and she ended up dialing it in for herself. But food and nutrition were her biggest things, and then seeing her business take off. And basically everything you just mentioned is the ingredients in her skincare. So I thought that was
right?
it was really reaffirming.
Yeah, and I say to my patients all the time, don't waste your money, on skincare products. There's so many things out there that are just damaging your skin. And those ingredients that we
Mm.
just talked about, those are real ingredients for the skin. They'll really nourish, protect, and heal your skin. Totally.
How do you use Manuka honey? Do you like mix it in water or do you just like slap it straight on your face?
I slap it straight on my face. And, I get up in the morning, I cover my face in Manuka honey, and then I'll probably do like some meditation and some yoga. I'll leave the Manuka honey on probably for an hour. And then I'll just rinse it off with like tepid water. And it is the best skincare ingredient out there. Your skin will never be as soft. It's so antimicrobial. It helps with the acne. It reduces inflammation. It's a humectant, so it draws moisture into your skin. Like, is there anything honey cannot do? That's my question.
Oh
So
my
good.
gosh. So you must not have pets.
No, I don't.
Yeah, because I'm like my cat. If I'd be sitting there meditating, my cat would be just like lick, 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 and a dog. I don't even think you could not sit down to meditate with Manuka honey on your face, and if you had a dog, they would.
No,
Oh my
no, that would
gosh,
not be that would that would be kind of distracting for sure.
that is
You'd have to shut the door.
right. My cat would be pawing at it.
Totally.
I can smell the Manuka
Oh
honey. I
yeah.
want to lick your face. Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
What about clay and masks? Some people even make masks out of like oats, oatmeal mask or clay mask. Yes, no. But what are your thoughts?
Yes, yes, I think clay is great. I just have a mason jar full of a mixture of green clay and white clay. Green clay is great if you have really oily skin. White clay is better if you have sensitive skin. And probably once a week, I'll put a teaspoon of the clay in the palm of my hand, you know, put some hydrosol in there or aloe vera gel to make kind of like a mask consistency, put that on my face, and it's fantastic. The oils just or the mask really draws the oils out. It's very cleansing for the skin. Um, Oats is another great mask. Grind up the oats, mix it with some aloe vera gel or hydrosol, even a little bit of clay, even a bit of honey. You can just get really creative with how you make your masks. Um, yeah, I think masks are really nourishing for the skin. They're great and they're relaxing too.
What about exfoliations? There's controversy around that. We should exfoliate, we shouldn't exfoliate. It damages the skin. We need to slough off the extra layers. What are your thoughts?
my thoughts, and I've thought about this a lot, and I've researched a lot, and I've, put a lot of time and energy into this. I think exfoliation is important, but you don't want to over exfoliate. So doing it maybe 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week. And everybody's different. It depends on the sensitivity level of your skin. Some people maybe cannot handle exfoliation at all. And in that case, you need to back up, you need to heal your skin, you need to reduce inflammation. That's your priority. But if you can handle a bit of exfoliation, the skin looks so much better. It looks healthier. You do get that glow. But when you over exfoliate, that's when your skin starts to get red and raw and irritated. So you have to find what works for you in terms of what to exfoliate with. Manuka honey is a great exfoliant. That's why I do like to keep it on my
Oh.
skin for a little bit of time. It is, it's very gentle. The other one I really like is a beta hydroxy acid. And beta hydroxy acid comes from white willow bark, which is from white willows, of course. And it's the same chemical component that's in aspirin. And beta hydroxy acids are very anti inflammatory, but they also are able to exfoliate through fat soluble substances. So it's able to penetrate into the pores of your skin, break up any excess sebum and skin cells that are in there, and help remove it. So I really like beta hydroxy acids to exfoliate, or manuka honey. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Hmm.
You know what I
Hmm.
noticed being in the sauna, my skin just wants to exfoliate because I guess because the sweat is coming out and it's hydrating the skin from within. And so I just
Hmm.
do like dry brushing or just very, very gentle like cloth rubbing on my face. And I can't believe how much skin's sloughing off from being in the sauna. So I do my exfoliating in the sauna. Have you ever noticed that during the sauna that your skin is just it's easier to exfoliate?
Oh, yes. Yes, it's so good. I mean, I wish I had a sauna in my house so I could do that more often. But yes, absolutely.
I gotta tell
It's a
you,
great place to exfoliate.
so Sunlighten has a solo system that's portable. It's non-toxic. It's made from non-toxic bamboo, and it's as basically as the size of a massage table. You can put it away into your closet, and then you lie down in it. It's like a big cocoon. So it's meant for people that live in condos. But yeah, they're out there.
Oh,
They're out there. But a lot of those portable systems that you can get for a few $100s are really toxic because they're just like plastic tents.
right.
But the Solar
Yes.
system from Sunlighten is phenomenal, and
Oh,
it's portable. So just so you know, you can have a sauna in your house. Just so you know, I do have
I'm
an
gonna check that out.
yeah,
Thank you for that tip.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Check it out because I've been really impressed with them, and I end up getting I have enough room in my house, so I ended up getting the wooden one. But I had a doctor on the show, Dr. Mark Hyman, and he we talked about sunlight, and he also has it, but he has the solo system because he lives in a condo, and he loves it. He loves it. You can travel with it. It's yeah, it's really fantastic. And a bunch of my friends and listeners also got the solo because just it just depends on how much space you have, you know. It's just so convenient because so many people live in
Totally.
condos these days, right? Scar tissue. What about scar tissue? So let's say they've healed their acne with you, but they're left with scar tissue that they're really self conscious about. Is there anything we can do to support the reduction of scar tissue?
Yes. And again, after so many years of experimenting with this, the number one way to get rid of the scar tissue is to do microneedling. And, this has to be done by a professional, like a medical esthetician, even. But medical microneedling, they use needles that are about millimeter in length, 1 to 1.5 millimeters, and you have to do probably about 3 to 4 sessions, and the sessions are all about a month to a month and a half apart. But that creates, it makes such a difference. It's really a great way to reduce scarring from acne. Another way you can do is you can do like Fraxel laser. as well. That's a little bit more invasive. There's a lot more downtime with that. It's very expensive. I like the microneedling better. Um, but and I've also experimented using a lot of topicals to help with scarring, but I find that the microneedling, just the results from that surpasses really any topical treatments that you can use.
Now, for those who don't know the metric system, a millimeter, one
Oh,
millimeter, if
sorry.
no, no, it's okay. It's just the Americans. Everyone else is caught on. Don't worry about it. I have to translate. Just hold on while I translate into American. All right, so 1 millimeter is
Okay.
0.039 inches. It's tiny. Tiny needle. Because the second you say needle, we're all freaking out. We're like, you're gonna stick my face with needles? So 1 millimeter is
Yeah, yeah.
is 0.039 inches. Very, very, very tiny needle. Does it hurt? Does it sting? Is it bearable?
Oh, it's totally bearable. I mean, it might be a little uncomfortable, but I mean, not bad at all. Like I've done those treatments before. It's not something you'd ever even need a painkiller for. It's just a little, there's a sensation that goes with it for sure, but it's
Mm.
getting rid of your acne scars. So you
Totally
can
worth
do
it.
it.
Right,
Yes.
right. Oh, man, this has been so much fun chatting with you about, how to heal the skin from within. I definitely would love to have you back so we could focus more on other skin problems. We've definitely focused more on acne today, and I want to talk more about psoriasis and eczema and other skin problems, possibly having you back on the show. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd love to. That would be fantastic.
Awesome, awesome. Is there
It's
anything
been great
else?
for me too. I've had a great time.
Oh, good, good. Well, don't worry, it's not over yet. I've got a few more things I want
Okay,
to talk
okay.
to you about. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about acne and healing acne before we move on to talking about your online classes?
Oh, well, I find when I meet patients for the first time, they're losing hope and they've tried everything
Mm,
and nothing has helped them. And they've spent so much money, they've been to so many doctors. And I just, want to send the message out there that there is hope for healing acne. And the body is so incredible. It wants to heal, it wants to balance. You just have to give it what it needs. Um, so yeah, that's my overall message, and I know how traumatic it is. I've been there, and that's why I'm so passionate about this.
awesome. Very cool. Yes, bring on the hope. There absolutely is hope to heal. And you have so much experience and so many wonderful success stories. Now, you can take on clients or patients over Skype anywhere around the world. But you also have some online classes. So let's talk about that. Now, all the links to everything that Dr. Stacey does is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast at learntrout.com. And we'll make sure we have the links to all of her classes and how to get her contact information if you'd like to work with her one-on-one or become a student of hers. So I know you have a few different classes. Can you tell us about them?
Sure. Well, my one kind of signature program is my 7-week clear skin program, and I lead you through my entire system of healing acne over 7 weeks. Each week, a new module is sent to you, um, addressing a specific root cause of acne. So it's been an incredibly successful program. It's helped so many people, especially women, heal their acne. And along with that 7-week program is also the incredible Facebook group community that I believe is so incredibly healing. Um, so that's my 7-week program. It's really, a compilation of everything that I've learned over the past 13 years and how to heal acne. So it's my baby. It really is my baby, and I love it so much. So I'd be really, really honored to help any of you out there, get over your acne because I
Awesome.
know life is too short, right?
Right,
Life is too short to
absolutely.
deal with it.
Yeah, and so would you say people should do the course, and then if they run into obstacles, that then they should hire you to have a one-on-one consultation, Um, or like, what do you suggest for those who feel like they might be a difficult case?
If you feel like a group program is not for you, you would rather have a one-on-one connection with me where I can take you through your healing step by step and really personalize it for you, then, my coaching program is probably perfect for you. So it really depends on, what approach you would prefer. But if you have a lot of deep health conditions, then probably the one-on-one coaching is probably better.
Got it. And if you just loved everything that Dr. Stacey shared today, and you know that you'd benefit from first doing all of her modules: sleep, stress, exercise, mindset, relationships, healing the gut, anti-inflammatory diet, skincare products or natural, and all the recipes, and doing all the corrective things towards your lifestyle, which makes up 90% of your health, then the course would be best for them, the 7-week course.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Awesome. Very cool. And do you have any other programs?
Yes, I do have another program. It is my 8-week Aging Beautifully program. And I love this program. It's pretty new. I went through all the latest research out there, all the latest epigenetic research. There's so many scientists out there right now studying how to age, beautifully, age gracefully. And I've put it all together in a simple 8-week program that teaches you step by step how to optimize the aging process in your body. There is a focus there. Some of the modules really do focus on the skin because that's what I love, but really it's a whole body program. It's very holistic. And I mean, who doesn't want to age beautifully, right? So that's my other program.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But not only that, the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles can be a sign of a nutrient deficiency, can be a sign of something out of balance. I've seen these amazing videos of women who are like in their 70s and 80s, these vegans that eat, like, they grow their own food and they're like super healthy, and you'd swear they're 50. You're like, you look 20 years younger. What's going on? And it's all
Yeah.
nutrition, so, or then you look at people who are like long-term smokers, they look 60 when they're 40. And it's just that oxidative
Yes.
stress and damage that's sucking up all the nutrients. So there's a big difference between there's a connection between your nutrition and your the aging, your appearance of aging.
Yeah, absolutely. We are able to control 90% of our aging process through lifestyle. Again, it's empowering. We don't want to have
Mm.
to rely on Botox and expensive skincare serums, as our anti-aging strategy, because that does not even touch the potential, of how we can age beautifully. Not even and how we look, but how we feel and how we're able to live our life. It's really invaluable information.
Absolutely. Again, using the skin um at every step along our life, using our skin as that check engine light for internal health. So
Mhm.
if we notice the
Yes.
age spots, that's another thing. I heard age spots is a sign of oxidative stress in the body. What are age spots? Is that what they are?
So age spots they're actually something called lipofuscin. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Lipofuscin, something like that, pronouncing it. But it's actually cellular debris that accumulates on the skin surface. It's a sign that the body is not detoxifying properly. So
Hmm.
when you have a lot of age spots, in the past, age spots were called liver spots, which is kind of funny because the liver is the main organ of detoxification. But the lipofuscin is a sign that you need to work on reducing your toxic exposure, number one, and supporting your organs of detoxification, number two. So, when you see age spots, you know that you can definitely improve what's going on inside.
Mm. Okay, one last question about skin. Skin tags. Now, I know a woman who started the magnesium soak. We had an amazing episode on soaking in magnesium, a type of magnesium that really is readily absorbed by the body. And her skin tags started falling off. I know another person who, when they started taking selenium, which, recycles the body's own glutathione, that his skin tags started falling off. And I've heard that people who go on more plant-based diets, eat a ton of antioxidants, their skin tags start falling off, so that there's this relationship between skin tags and oxidative stress or nutritional deficiency. But I'd love to hear from the expert. What are skin tags? What is it? What is it a result of? And what can we do to support the body in eliminating them?
Yes. So skin tags are the result of insulin dysregulation. So, for instance, when your friend was soaking in the magnesium tub, magnesium is one of the minerals that's deficient when there's a metabolic condition going on in the body. So, the increase in magnesium will contribute to the skin tags disappearing. So, skin tags are a sign of metabolic dysregulation. And I forget, you said another friend took
Well,
selenium, did you say?
he was taking a selenium complex. It also had chromium in it, but I'm sure he was doing other health changes, but he swore it was the selenium that did it.
Yeah, so I mean, many minerals affect, the metabolic processes in the body. And so, by improving that, the skin tags will go away. So, if you do have skin tags, you want to check your insulin levels. You want to start balancing your blood sugar and healing your metabolism.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Hmm.
Man, it's been so
I
much fun
know.
having you here. Oh, that is so great. I bet everyone is just as excited that they got to learn from you today as I am. Dr. Stacy, it's been such a pleasure having you here today. Is there anything that you'd like to say to wrap up today's interview? Anything left unsaid?
Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for having me on. I've really enjoyed this. And, I want to change the way that skin is approached. My experience with having acne and the treatments that are available out right now are just not helping people, and often, making skin situations even worse. And, my mission is to help change that and, you know, get some real healing going on with our skin, because it seems like it's a little bit of a forgotten area when it comes to true healing and balancing the body.
Mm, beautifully said. Well, thank you so much for pointing us in the right direction. And I definitely encourage listeners to check out your online courses. And I'll make sure all the links to everything you do is in the show notes of today's podcast at learntohealth.com. Dr. Stacy, I can't wait to have you back on the show where we can dive deeper into skin health. It has been such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks so much, Ashley. I've totally enjoyed myself.
I hope you just loved today's interview with Dr. Stacey Shillington, the naturopathic physician that focuses on healing skin by healing your whole body naturally. I definitely know that I'm going to go try her Manuka honey trick and just slather my face with honey and see how that gives me incredible skin, along with all of her other tips. And I'd love to hear from you. Please come to the Facebook group and tell me what you think about today's interview. LearnTrueHealth.com/group to find the Facebook group, or just search Learn True Health in Facebook. Join our group and let's start a conversation about today's interview. I'd love to hear what tips and tricks you're going to try. And after trying them, I'd love to hear your results. If you want to check out Dr. Stacy's programs, the 7-week Clear Skin program, you can find that at learntruehealth.com/clearskin. That's learntruehealth.com/clearskin. That's one word. And her 8-week anti-aging skin program, you can find that learntruehealth.com/younger-skin, all one word, learntruehealth.com/younger-skin. Of course, you can find all these links to everything that Dr. Stacy does at the show notes of this podcast at learntruehealth.com. So come to the website and you can find all the show notes of this episode. Plus, you can use the search function on the website to find other great episodes on many health and healing topics. Are you looking to optimize your health? Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? for high-quality supplements and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com, and one of our fantastic True Health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program.